I want you to think about a time in your career when you were having the most fun. And this could be a very early job, like all the way back to when you're working at a grocery store, or like myself, I used to work at a laser tag arena. And I want you to think about, what was it about that job that was fun? What was it that energized you, that excited you, that made you look forward to the job itself? And no, not just, it's your first paycheck or whatever, but think about the actual components and the underlying element of it. So, for example, I'm working with somebody who one of their first careers was in retail, and they were in a sales job. And when I kind of dug a little bit deeper on what they really enjoyed about the job, we came to realize that it was because there was a competitive component. There was a competitive, spirit or nature that that job brought out of that person. And so once you have that sort of sense, and that can be tough to kind of figure out on your own, so give it some thought. I want you then to ask yourself, for your current job, how much does your current job contain or not contain that element? So if you're like that person and you have that competitive spirit and the competitive nature, and I were to ask you that question in session, what would your answer be? And I think that's going to tell you a lot. What I find is that people who don't have those components, and that's just one example of it, when we do the work, we explore their entire career and in things outside of their career, their life, their family, hobbies, all that kind of stuff, to find the things that light them up and energize them. But what I find is that a lot of times folks are really miserable because their job is missing many, sometimes all of those elements that really light somebody up. And the thing is that a lot of times, even if you have a toxic work environment, an abusive boss, like, deadline pressures and all those kind of things, those are manageable if the job contains those elements that energize you. If the job contains elements that are completely depleting you and it's toxic on top of that, I mean, that is a huge recipe for burnout, and there's just no mental protection. There's no space for you. So I want you to really think about that. That might have you ask and answer some additional questions. But the follow on from that then is, you then get to make a decision. And that decision is, you might want to try exploring a new job or a new role that naturally has that component in it. Or you might want to think about, how do I introduce that element into my current role? So, like, let's say the competitive side is part of you, and say in a friendly way, because sometimes competition can be, mean spirited, but from a friendly way, how do I introduce competition or a level of competitive nature, feeling into my day to day work? And sometimes when we do that, like I said, it helps introduce a little bit of space and a little bit of just mental safety and protection for us, and makes the job sometimes a lot more interesting and exciting, and something that we might actually care about. So give that a thought. I'd be curious to see and know, like, what is your thing? What's the thing that lit you up in your career and made you excited and was a lot of fun?